Hey everybody, good afternoon and welcome. I'm Pat Bemer with Magna Wave. I want to welcome you to a Magna Wave Wellness webinar. My guest today is Wayne Kraushar from Centurion Systems. They're the developers of the EZY System, which is one of the products that we sell through Magna Wave. So I want to get a chance to interview Wayne and talk to you and let you ask your questions that you may have for us. So we certainly want you to be able to do that. For those of you who don't know me or are familiar with Magna Wave, I'll just take a brief second, introduce myself, and then we'll get over to Wayne, introduce him, let him tell us a little bit about his background and how he started his company, and then we'll get right into the meat of the story. My name's Pat Bemer. As I've already said, I'm the founder of Magna Wave and a practitioner. I've treated thousands of horses and people and small animals around the world over the years, and it's been an exciting ride for Magna Wave. We've certainly enjoyed it, and it's fun to have been able to be a practitioner. That's how we started, was actually out in the trenches treating small animals and horses to begin with, and we've been very pleased with how things have moved on. I've been very blessed to be a 3-time #1 bestseller, one book about PEMF and the other couple of books dealing with marketing situations. So it's given us a wealth of information. So with that, I'd like to move over and introduce you to our guest. This is Wayne Kraushar. Hello, Wayne. How are you doing?
Hey, Pat. Good to see you again.
Yeah, it's nice to see you. Wayne has been in business since 1979 with his company, Centurion Systems, over 38 years, and that's incredible. We feel that our 10 years here with Magna Wave is a long time, but Wayne's just got a lot of experience and a lot of information going on. So, Wayne, thanks for being with us, and why don't you tell us a little bit about Centurion, how you started, and where this travel has taken you.
Sure. Well, first of all, Centurion is a Canadian-based company based out of Calgary in Canada. We have offices in Canada, in the U.S., and Europe, South America, and in Asia. We market a variety of therapy products in the veterinary field, and we also market wellness products in the human field. Our products range from lasers, but also the PEMF products, and we're particularly proud that we're using Tesla technology in utilizing our therapy products. We'll be talking more about Tesla shortly. Everyone has heard about Nikola Tesla, who has hundreds and hundreds of inventions, and we're very happy that we're incorporating some of his technology in our products, Pat.
That's great, Wayne. Thank you very much. And I know, of course, my first involvement with you was started in 2002 when I represented your products for a number of years, and we're very glad to have some of your products in our line today because, as we all know, they work very well, and people can get a lot of health and wellness from these products. What we're going to kind of talk about today is we're going to talk about the study that was done, about the basics of the product, and that is the EZY system, which is based on a coil. Perhaps you could tell us a little bit about that system, and I'll bring up some slides that we can kind of page through as we're taking a look at them.
Okay. Well, first of all, I want to talk about the study that we did.
Okay,
because
that's great.
It's very difficult to get a study done at a hospital. And it's even more difficult getting a study done at a hospital in Canada because in Canada it's all socialized health care, and there's no financial incentive for them to do a study on something. But we arranged that. And what we did was very interesting. We arranged two different groups. One group was working strictly on chronic problems, and the other group, our group, was working on problems that did not have results with traditional physiotherapy. And that was the whole basis of the study. So that's from that point of view, it was statistically relevant for us, and we had some very interesting results. So what we found is we took patients who did not respond to traditional physiotherapy, and we put them in our control group. Then we took a second group of people who only had acute problems, and we put them back on traditional physiotherapy. And would you believe that the success rate was virtually identical with both groups? The acute problems with traditional physiotherapy, and then the chronic problems that were using the Centurion equipment.
So what kind of results did you see? I can pull some up here that we
Sure.
can look at.
Let's pull some of them up. We were working on all different types of chronic pain problems, joint problems, and you can see this up on the slide here.
Yeah, I see. Like you were dealing with fractured tibulas and fibulas,
and some fractures as well.
Right.
Correct.
And various bunionectomy of the feet and hands, callus fractures.
We'll be talking about the feet shortly as well, because as you know, all the nerve endings in your body are going to the bottom of your feet, and that's why it's very important to work on the bottom of your feet.
One of the things that, as I'm looking here, Wayne, is when you, for example, fractured tibia, the pain was severe, and most of what we're dealing with this equipment, PEMF equipment, deals with pain. The pain was severe after 18 treatments. The pain was minimum, and so it was considered improved. Another one, the pain was moderate, and after 7 treatments, it was minimum and improved. There is one that was moderate after the unchanged with 12 treatments. That's going to happen. You never know what's going on, what's causing the issues. Here's another one here, number 4.
That just validates the study, because if you brought out something where it showed that it was 100% in everything, nobody would take it serious.
That's for sure. That's for sure. Got one down here, a callus fracture, minimum at the beginning, totally resolved. That's something that you like to see with regard to pain and healing when it comes to those types of situations. That's interesting. That's very good results in the way things move along there. So let me ask you, let me see if we've got any questions here in the chat. Okay. Let's see. Yes, folks, if you have questions, put them in the chat box. There are several people with us today. So if you have questions, just put them in the chat box, and Wayne and I would be happy to address those questions and answer them. Wayne, let me bring up, if I may, the slide presentation, and we can kind of look at the device that we're talking about. This is you featured on the cover of Tesla magazine. Tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. The Tesla magazine is published every 3 to 4 months, but the editor of the Tesla magazine just loves the EZY system, and so he put this on the front cover. Now, what was interesting when he put this on the front cover, normally when you get featured on the front cover of a publication, when they do an article on your company afterwards, they'll put your phone number or your email address or your web address. But they told us right up front, we're a serious publication. We are not going to put an ad for the magazine in here. We're not going to put your phone number. We're not going to put the email address or the web address. They did a 5-page article on Centurion, and they talked about what we do in the veterinary field and the human field with our wellness products. But there was not any way for that client to get hold of us. And so I asked the publisher, well, if someone's interested in this product, how would they get a hold of us? And they said, don't worry. If someone reads the article and they see this, if they want to get a hold of you, they will find you. And he was right. We've had hundreds and hundreds of inquiries because of this being featured on the front cover of the Tesla magazine.
That's great. Of course, we want them to come to Magna Wave to buy this from Magna Wave. But at any rate, what's good for Wayne's good for us. But this is not about selling. It's about information, how this particular piece of equipment works. So let me click through here. This is the part of the EZY system that's a blanket. Tell us a little bit about that.
Correct. Well, this is the EZY blanket, and a lot of people out there are familiar with mats that you can lie on. Well, this is a blanket that goes over top of you. So what we did was we put 12 different Tesla coils into the blanket, and the whole idea is Tesla had his original patent on a PEMF coil back in 1894. Well, that's 120 years ago.
Right.
And so we duplicated that coil, and we put 12 of these into the Tesla blanket, and that's why it's been so successful.
Very interesting. And so here's a picture of the coil.
Here's a picture of the coil, and you can see here this coil is designed to go around your body. And the coil is lightweight. It's only 5 pounds. And you can see right here where you can put your feet in the coil. Now, we put this in the slide because we want every fifth treatment to have the bottom of your feet sitting in the bottom of the coil. You just get faster results this way. Even if you had a low back problem, headache, we would just put your feet in the coil as well every fifth treatment.
So that's because it's almost like a reflexology. So many nerves throughout the body end up at the bottom of your feet. And so it's like reflexology for dummies. Put them in there, and it'll stimulate the part that needs to be stimulated. Correct?
Correct.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Now here's a picture of our sitting in the coil. Now you might get the impression, first of all, that, well, hang on, that coil is only covering a small part of the body. Not true. When you're in that coil, this is what we call a concentric field. Everything that's inside that coil and then 30 inches above the coil and 30 inches below the coil is being exposed to the field. So that's why we call it a total body treatment.
That's very interesting. So you can get a total body treatment with the coil.
Correct.
Just like you would. So someone might think, well, the coil is only covering my hips and knees, and the blanket covers my whole body. But you can get a whole body treatment just utilizing the coil.
Correct.
Very interesting. And here's the pricing, and we can come back to that later. But I just wanted to show those photographs and stuff for the folks that are there. Let's see. Here's a question for us. What if the blanket gets dirty or damaged? What happens?
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that. One of the things we do, because the blanket itself is a product that sells for approximately $1,000. But suppose, for instance, you're at home and someone is eating a hot dog and you got all kinds of mustard that goes onto the blanket.
Right.
Our program is set up where the blanket will come back to us. It'll be replaced. You get a brand new blanket back for only $175, and that's doesn't matter how long you have the blanket. You can replace it anytime, brand new, for $175.
Well, that's good. So, and that's one of the things I thought about when we got one here at the office. I thought, well, now what happens if can you wash it? Well, you don't want to throw it in the washer, but if it really got to the situation, right,
it cannot be washed.
Right, I understand. So, but it's really neat because you can cover up or you can lay on it. We have a new vibrating device here that does sound vibration. It's called entrainment, and we'll lay the blanket on top of this vibrating bed and give a PEMF treatment at the same time that they're getting a vibration or a massage with music. So it's really pretty neat from that aspect. Here's a question from someone, Wayne, that says, how does this compare to earthing? A term that you just heard last week, earthing mats. Does that ring any bell to you?
A earthing mat? Well, magnetic fields, first of all, do come out of the ground as well.
Right.
And Tesla was always really big on magnetic fields coming out of the ground. But we use 4 different frequencies in this product, 2, 8, 15, and 30. I really can't give you a comparison against earthing. I just don't have any expertise in that area.
I know a lot of people have talked about because the Earth's magnetic field is actually decreased. And yes, various companies will say, well, we want to have you at the Earth's magnetic field or that type of thing. And we're actually, the thing from my understanding that does is how you change the energy levels going into the body to cause the cells to begin to react and then facilitate and speed up the healing process that you're dealing with. And I mean, if that's what it is, you can go out and lay on the earth and you'll feel better. And that doesn't always happen unless it's a sunny day and you're under a shade tree with a 6-pack of beer or something. But
and with your bare feet on the earth.
That's right. And with your bare feet on the earth. That's absolutely right. If you're wearing rubber shoes, you're cutting everything off. If you're wearing leather shoes, you're in a better shape. That's very, very good. Another question. What sets you apart from Bemer or other companies, other devices out there?
Sure. Well, most of the other products out there, they're selling mats, some kind of mat to lie on. And let's talk about the mats, because here's what we've done. Almost every mat company, and I can't talk about each specific one, but most of them operate on a multi-level marketing basis, where they want to sign up people like crazy to have people selling underneath them. And the big difference between us is what I call 52%, is that we're not paying 52% in commissions like the multi-level marketing products are. That's why a lot of the mat companies have got pricing of $5,000 and $6,000, but our coil is only $25.75 because we're just not a multi-level marketing company. And that is a huge difference. What you're paying for with our product, you're paying for the product. You're paying for our research. You're not paying for 7 downlines with different people around the world. That's a huge difference, Pat.
Yeah. Now,
but there are some other.
Oh, yeah. Exactly. I was going to ask you what the other differences are.
Sure. There are some other differences. Most of the mats operate on what we call a sawtooth wave pattern. Now, a sawtooth wave pattern will go like this, up and down like this, and up and just like a saw, just like it does on a saw. And NASA, in all their research, states that the best wave pattern for pain and inflammation is a square wave. So that's what we did. We went with a square wave, and the results on pain have been sensational. Now, why did we not use a sawtooth wave pattern? And I want to tell you why. Most people do not read directions. You can give them a product, but they don't read the book. They just hit the button and they want to lie on a pad. Well, the problem is, even in all their manuals, they state that if you're using a sawtooth, you can only use it for 8 minutes. Well, what happens is studies show that using a sawtooth wave pattern after 8 minutes, the cells become agitated, and that's an important thing. So the other big difference between our product and the mat is, if you're lying on a mat, you might get the impression that you're getting a total body treatment. Well, that's just not the case, because you usually have 6 coils in the mat, 4 of which have got a 5-inch diameter, and 2 of which are only a 2.5-inch diameter. So what you're really getting is 6 localized treatments. Now, you notice in that picture where the person had their feet in the coil, they were sitting directly on top of the coil, and that's the way to get the feel directly into your body. But if you're lying on a mat and and your feet are sitting up in a position like this, right at the end of that bed, there's no feel going right into the bottom of your feet. Very important.
Interesting. And I thought of a thing when you were talking about that, when people don't read instructions. I used to have, years ago, a guy would always say, well, I buy you books, and all you do is eat the covers. And, you got to get into the book to see what you're doing. And Bob Dennis, we talk with him a lot, and it comes down to, when you're absolutely right on when you talk about that wave, it's the trajectory to which it goes up and the slew rate at which it comes down is where they have found that that's where the real value comes from, the sharp up and the sharp down. And so that really makes great sense, and that you shared with us how your wave works and how it goes.
So what we did was, if you look at the NASA research, and who am I to argue with NASA with what they have at their disposal with research?
Correct.
But even they state that the best frequency to use is extreme low frequency, low Gauss, low intensity, and they just have better results working on pain and inflammation. And that's the biggest thing that we're doing is chronic pain. We want to have a wellness device where people can feel better, and people normally are getting something because they have some kind of pain.
Exactly. And of course and as you know, we have high power devices and low power devices, and where NASA also comes to the top. And when Dr. Dennis talks about this, it gets to a point that the higher power devices will help you get ahead of your pain and inflammation very rapidly. And then they do go on to say that lower intensities, as you're pointing out, and lower frequencies maybe will help the healing process better. And so you can get both of those. And that's something that we like to do is to cross the entire spectrum, is to provide all those types of services to the folks. And Wayne, tell me, what's your warranty like, or what kind of warranty are we offering with the EZY system?
Sure. When the EZY first came out, we offered what most companies in Europe do, and they offer a 2-year warranty. However, this product has been in the field now for 3.5 years, and we saw that there's no problems with the machine. We're just not getting any machines back. Well, I lied. We did get one We did get one controller back, one, and that's because we had a 6-year-old kid took the controller in the bathtub with him. And as we know, the electronics and water don't mix.
No.
So we replaced it. But starting June 1st of this year, our new warranty is 5 years on everything. Now, when we say we cover everything for 5 years, this is what we mean. We don't do a warranty, which most companies do, where we just cover electronic malfunction. What we cover is it's an unconditional warranty. It doesn't matter how it happened, who did it, there's no excuses. We just cover it.
Great. Now,
5 years on everything.
That's wonderful. Now, another question, and you'll see this, and when we talked about some of these devices, that your device can be carried, the other people out there, the Bemers, the QRS, the iMrs, and all those things. It seems to me, and this is something we like to do with our high-powered equipment that we have, is we like it to be easy to operate. And
Yes.
That's one of the things that we really like about the EZY system. So tell us a little bit about your thoughts there with as far as how difficult it is for someone to use it if they're not real tech savvy or anything like that.
So what we did is we put only 4 settings on the machine to keep it real simple. We have a frequency of 2, which is below normal energy, to work on inflammation and swelling. We put a frequency of 8, which we refer to as the Schumann resonance or normal energy. And then we have 2 settings above that, 15 to work on stimulation and 30 to dramatically increase the stimulation and circulation in the area. So just the 4 settings: inflammation, normal energy, stimulation, circulation.
And so which one do people normally use?
Well, they're starting off on a frequency of 2. That frequency of 2 is magic. They see a change in their bodies very, very quickly. One of the things that happen is when people go on a frequency of 2 for the first time, they normally feel a little tingling feeling in their body after 4 or 5 minutes. That'll increase for the next 10 minutes, and then it'll subside and go away. Now, I should mention that when people start off on this therapy, they should have a glass of water or a glass of juice before they start. Everything just works faster that way.
So it's good to be very well hydrated. It's the
Correct.
same thing with our devices as well. We always
Correct.
talk about good hydration. Here's another question from Stephanie. She asks, how long are the treatments?
Well, the sessions normally are 30 minutes. If we're working on a fracture problem, then it'd be 60 minutes, 1 hour.
Okay.
But most sessions are only 30 minutes.
So 30 minutes. And so with that, if that be the case, I noticed in the study where it was talking about 18 treatments or 12 treatments or 7, whatever the numbers are, how often do you treat, or how often should you treat?
The more often the first week, the better. And then it's just 2, 3, 4 times a week after that. But this is something which you could easily do while you're reading a book, watching TV. And we get a lot of executives who will buy one for their office. Why? How many people do you know right now that are in their 30s, 40s, and 50s who always say one thing: I just don't have the concentration level that I used to have 4 or 5 years ago.
Correct.
Now, a lot of that is all because of the Wi-Fi exposure in our bodies. But when they're exposed to this type of therapy, dramatic increase in the levels of concentration very quickly.
So I like that because I'm a power napper. I'll get to working and all of a sudden it'll hit me, and I've got a little couch right here in my office and the office studio, and I'll go over and take about a 10 or 12 minute power nap, and bingo, I'm ready to go. Others can't do that. So that's a good application. They could use that and do a quick rejuvenation and while they're taking their power nap. Or I guess you could put it in a chair and sit on it at the same time if you wanted to do that.
Sit in the chair. Sit in the coil.
Yeah, sit in the coil, or you could drape the blanket over your chair if you wanted to.
Oh, yes, that is correct.
From that perspective. Well, that's interesting. So the treatments can be daily. Is it ever beneficial when at the beginning to do it twice a day?
Well, what happens sometimes is this: if we have someone who is has chronic pain or real lack of energy, one of the things we'll do is we'll use the coil in the morning at a higher frequency, and then later on at a low frequency. Well, what happens is that frequency at 2 causes vasoconstriction of the capillaries in your body, and
Right.
people sleep like a baby afterwards.
And that's great. So what's interesting here is when you talk about what is 18 treatments, so that would have been probably 3 weeks of treatments, would have been 4 or 5 times the first week, 2 or 3
weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks.
Right. Okay. So that's very effective if someone has the time and they will be diligent enough to do that. The worst thing you want to do is buy something, put it in your place, and not use it. But you're quite right to be able to use it while you're watching television or reading a book or anything like that, whether it's the coil or the blanket. And my interest has been, and you and I had this conversation before we started. The thing that really intrigued me when we brought this product into our line was the blanket. And I had asked you at the beginning of this before we started are you doing more blankets or are you doing more coils? And I guess the understanding of the coil on this device had not totally hit with me, but give me the answer to that again. More blankets or coils?
Well, we're clearly selling a lot more coils than blankets. And what we find is people start off with the coil first, but within a couple of months, they add the blanket. Now, we do get people as well who do the coil and blanket at the same time, but they definitely add the blanket as well.
Right. So you got both those opportunities as to what they're going to use, the coil or the blanket.
What has happened, Pat, is this. We get someone who buys the coil and the blanket together, but then maybe 6 or 7 months, the wife or the husband will say, you know what, I like to have the coil here and the blanket somewhere else, and then they just add another controller.
Okay. So you can do that. You can add a controller to the system and approach it from that direction. And
then they just take them in different directions.
Right. So they can do more with it in that regard. That's very interesting. So again, it's very quick, 4 settings, very easy to go through those 4 settings to use. What other kind of questions do people ask you? I guess the big thing is we get all the time, we do a fair amount of marketing and we get people all the time asking us questions. Well, tell me about, this and the Bemer. I know it's the difference in the pricing, certainly. So you got a much better price for the same type of delivery, of services, which is a huge, as you point out,
too many settings. Our experience has been that a little old lady at home, no way can she go through and understand 30, 40, 50, 60 different settings.
Right.
Too complicated, way too complicated. So that's why we've made this so simple and easy to use, and that's why we call it the EZY system. 4 settings. Normal energy, 1 setting below, 2 above.
Right. Well, that's incredible, and that's what it's all about. So it's really a pretty simple situation when you look at the other options that folks have available to them. Again, that's why we certainly like it. What other type of questions do you receive as you go down your day with people asking questions about this?
Well, they always ask me, will it affect my sleep? Will I sleep better? And the question is, they will definitely sleep better. Even if they have that session in the afternoon, they'll sleep much better in the evening.
Right.
But along with the sleep, it's a much deeper sleep because most people are not having that deep sleep. But one of the things we want to keep in mind, everyone is so exposed to Wi-Fi these days, and we're getting what we call the electronic smog radiation in our body.
Correct.
And the one thing that'll happen with this is that this will free up the red blood cells in your bloodstream and get rid of that electronic smog in 20 minutes. It really works fast.
Really. So, and you're right. And it does help. People get into that situation. They'll talk about, this is PEMF, electrosmog, and you're making me, no, PEMF will actually, as you stated very well, clearing up your electrosmog that you're exposed to on a daily basis.
All day in the office and all night at home.
Right. It's really amazing how that does impact what's going on with folks and how they need to address it. So that's good. I'm glad we talked about the
Now,
smog.
some of the things that people also ask, well, what if I have any kind of implant in my body? A lot of people do. So if you have any kind of metal in your body, or wire, screws, perfectly safe to use.
Right, great.
The only thing that's contraindicated is pacemakers.
Pacemakers. You know, we've had with some of our, as you know, the higher powered equipment that's taking more electrical energy to produce what's going on. We've actually had some doctors with new pacemakers say that, well, as long as you're not treating above the waist or in the chest area, if you're doing low back or hips or knees, they've given clearance for some people to have treatments, and that just amazed me. But we always tell everybody, no, you need to make sure that whatever you're doing, and that's the case with any of this, make sure your doctor knows what's going on. We're not here to treat, heal, or do anything. This is all about wellness and what people choose to do themselves. But it's always good to consult your physician if you're going to do something, to expose yourself to something that you want to make sure that you're clear and ready to go. What about, do you consider, and of course the other contraindication is pregnancy. How do you feel about these lower powered devices with pregnancy?
Well, we feel that they're safe, but in spite of that, we still put in all of our literature that it's contraindicated during the last trimester.
Ah, okay. So you feel it's safe during the beginning and up till the last trimester.
Our feeling is that it clearly is safe, but during the last trimester, we're recommending not to use it.
Okay. So that's great. Let's see. Let's take a look quick here and see if we've had any other questions. That's a good question. Is it safe for children to use?
Yes. Very safe. As a matter of fact, children respond even faster than adults do. So we've always had the coils on the floor in our living room. Kids would go out and bang themselves up, and then we train them from a very early age to come in the house, go lie right to the coil.
Right.
We always stood it up on the ground.
Yeah, and as this is how we got when you and I first met back in 2002. If you remember our dog Sadie, we had a boxer who had a real issue with hip dysplasia, and the first thing Wayne said, well, look, let me send you this coil and this machine, and you use it on your dog, and we did. We were using the 9PC at the time, so it's a little stronger the device than these are, I presume, if that's correct, Wayne. And we used that on our boxer for hip dysplasia daily, and she got to the point that hip dysplasia was no longer an issue for her, unless you chase a cat chase a squirrel or something across the yard, or try to jump the fence. Then she'd come in hobbling and get right back in the coil a few days, and bingo, or a few sessions, and bingo, she was ready to go. So it is very effective in your small animals as well, correct?
And what you're going to find is that for those people who have cats at home, and if you're sitting in the coil and you put that machine on in the living room, but your cat is upstairs in the second floor of your house, that cat will sense the magnetic field come downstairs, and he'll want to jump on your lap to be in the coil. And what's funny, the treatment is over, and they'll sense that it's over, and they'll jump out.
Isn't that something? And they will do that. Cats are amazing around this. They when they're done, they jump out. They get away from it, and they've had enough. I'm going to share, Wayne, the study. If anybody would like to download the file, they can do that, and it's available to you to do that. I also shared the link to our page on the Magna Wave site that explains the EZY system completely, and so that was shared a few minutes ago. So if you'd like to download the study to really see what happened and to digest that would be great. So let me think. Go ahead.
The other thing is that it's if somebody wants to get an electronic version of the full Tesla magazine, I'll be very happy to provide that to you, so you can send that out to your guests as well.
You know, I had that up earlier. I don't know what I think I closed that window.
I mean the entire magazine.
Yeah. Yeah, I had that
all
pulled up.
38 pages.
Yeah, we can do that. If anybody wants it, we can certainly do that for you. Let me go back here real quick, and we can talk about when you talk about the competition. I got a page through it. I took it through the page. I'm sorry. Let me quick do this. Here's the coil again, the carry bag. There it's showing the feet in the coil, feet and legs on the waist, and then coming to the prices. And as Wayne was pointing out, the system from some of the other folks get up in the $5,000 and $6,000 range, and with the system, the EZY system, the Magna Wave EZY System by Centurion, blanket coil and controller is only $3,570, and the EZY system with the coil and controller is $2,575, and the EZY system with the blanket and controller is only $1,995. 5-year warranty, and again, to refurbish the blanket is only $175. So it's a pretty good value for folks to improve their health and wellness.
It's a great wellness device to increase your body energy. And
folks, if you have any questions, let me go back up to chat and see if there's any more questions that people may have. So nope, it looks like we're pretty much done with it. We've been on about 40 minutes. That's a nice number. We can wait a second to see any other questions that might come up. Any other attachments on the horizon for the EZY system?
Yes, as a matter of fact, we're going to have the new cranial pad is going to be coming out shortly. That's a pad that you can put directly on your head, and will plug right into the controller as well. And
that's for headaches. What?
Well, one of the things that we've been doing in Canada is that we've been doing some initial studies with the cranial pad on Alzheimer's as well up there. It's not available in the market yet, but we've been doing some initial studies in Alzheimer's. The results have been very encouraging, but yes, we've done a lot of things with headaches as well.
And so a question came up: can the cranial pad help with migraines?
In a lot of cases, yes, but everyone is different, and that's why you got to put it on and try it.
That's and to that end, with migraines. We've had a lot of success with some of the other devices, and I would assume that you might get the same thing here. If someone were to take the coil and put it up at their shoulders, so they're doing their whole upper body up and down, and then as Wayne has pointed out, when we first started treating people with migraines, we'd put a coil on the back of their head and do a very low setting type of thing, and then we treat their feet, as Wayne has pointed out. That's incredible.
What I'd recommend with the head is, instead of putting the coil up like that, Pat, to have the person lying on their couch, on their bed, on the floor, stand the coil up, put a little cushion behind your neck, and lie flat with your head in the coil.
Oh, yeah. Okay, that's what I was attempting to try. I guess I didn't describe it very well, but that's what I was trying to think about doing. So, yes, just lay in the coil and let your shoulders and neck be in the coil. Is that what you're saying?
Correct. Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, and then don't forget to treat your feet once completed with that. So again, folks, if you have any questions, you can send them to Pat Zemer at magnawavepemf.com. And Wayne, your address?
My address is just Waykra, WAYKRA at yahoo.com.
Okay. Well, Wayne, it's been great having you with us today, and we certainly enjoyed the time, and it's a great way for people who are interested in these types of devices to see that we have something that can compare, and in fact, be a better price point than some of the other products are out there, and that there is a study to back it up, which I shared, and new things coming down the pike. So I really appreciate that, and maybe we can do this again.
Thank you so much, Pat.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us. Have a great day. Bye.
Thank you.